Welcome back to In the House podcast. We are here with Toni Singh. Hi Toni, how are you doing?
Jenny. Good, how are you?
Good. We're going to get a little bit serious this conversation here.
Sometimes serious is good.
Our last conversation about our personalities was quite funny. Got to know a little bit about each other. Things that we knew already. Things that I kind of feel like we kind of made fun of each other too, and that's good.
Jenny wants this episode to be serious. And you know what? It's important to have balance. We're balancing.
Well, I kind of feel like our listeners want to know how to get started in real estate.
Absolutely.
Right? Like there's an exam involved, assignments involved, and real estate is a serious business.
Yes, it is. So on that note, Jenny's going to lead the discussion today because you're right. It is important for people to know about the process and how they can set themselves up for success. So I'll let you...
What year did you take the real estate exam?
2010.
In 2010?
August.
Okay. You worked at Rennie, so did you start with Rennie in 2010 or did you go unlicensed first with it?
No, I did it actually differently than people did back then because I actually did interview brokerages, which apparently no one did back then. Okay. I don't know if people do that now.
I did back then.
But see, we actually do have a lot of similarities. I'm like, I'm going to interview brokerages, and people thought that was so weird. But I had gotten back from a really awesome Africa trip. It was like my last cool faraway trip, a different experience than I'd ever had, and then I wanted to get serious in terms of a career. So I got back from Africa, I wrote the test at UBC, and then
Did you get any help from any schools or from your dad?
No, I studied for it. It's a 12-month, they still give you 12 months to complete it, I think, right?
Yes, yeah.
I did it in 3. I taught myself. But I come from a university background too, so I knew how to study. So I just kind of did it. Had a deadline for it, and even before I had the results, I was interviewing brokerages. Okay. Because I knew that the next step would be, okay, so get licensed, you have to pass the test.
Yeah, and the pass that back then was 60%.
Yeah, it's higher now, isn't it?
70%, I believe.
It should be higher, guys.
Should be like 85-90%.
Well, yeah, I think so. I think so. And then I interviewed at different brokerages. I think I did Sutton Center, I did Rennie, where I ended up choosing to be. I did not interview at my family's brokerage because they probably would have hired me. Nepotism. So no, I didn't interview there. And I also went to Remax Crest Westside. Okay. And I think that's it. There might have been one other. I can't actually recall right now.
So what were some of the deciding factors?
It's a good question. So you know how some realtors look at the splits?
Yes.
I didn't. The split, so when we say split, it basically means, everyone, that if you're new, when you do a real estate transaction, the salesperson will keep a portion, but you also have to give a portion to the brokerage. And that allows them to pay for things like their conveyance, admin, other
advertising fees.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. All that kind of stuff. So when I was looking at brokerages, I did not go low cost, no cost, because I was looking for certain things. I wanted to have a good relationship with the managing broker because they're ultimately responsible for the new salespeople. I wanted somebody that was knowledgeable and could guide me. And also, I wanted a learning environment where I could learn and it was team oriented. And I think that some young realtors will make the mistake of just choosing the brokerage that's going to charge them the least amount to hang their license at that brokerage, because you're not really gaining any type of skill or guidance. Right. So the reason I chose Rennie is because Vincent Tang, hi Vince, was the managing broker at the time. He actually still is. He's fantastic. But they have several managing brokers now because they've expanded so much. He was my favorite, and I felt very comfortable, and I felt like it was going to be a great learning environment, and it was. Okay. Yeah. So you wrote your exam, and then you signed up for the brokerage right after you passed your exam. I think I might have been waiting on the pass. I contacted Vince and I asked for an interview, and I said I hadn't gotten the results yet, but I think I said something like I knew I was going to pass, obviously. Yeah. And then so we kind of met, we got everything started, and then I think when I got the results, I think he's like, okay, yeah, well, issue the paperwork, and then you can work here.
Right. Okay.
Or maybe, actually, because there was another component to that, right? So you can write the exam, you get your license, but then you still have to do a week-long classroom component. What's the requirement now?
Post-licensing.
Post-licensing.
So a series of assignments and a series of holding an open house and answering a bunch of assignments.
So before my license was technically active, I would go into they call it the pit. So at the Rennie office, there's a large communal space on the main floor, and all of the realtors that are doing stuff, they're working on their deals, they're talking to their clients. It's in one space where you can see everybody, and they also have separate meeting rooms, but it's called the pit.
So like the bullpen.
Yeah, bullpen. Okay. And so I would go there before my license was active, and I would sit there and listen to what was happening. Like, I had no conversations in real estate previously. What were people doing? What kinds of conversations would you have with clients? How does this actually work? And I would also research on the computers while I was doing that and kind of get familiar with, at the time it was ML Exchange, was the MLS system online that we would use to look at properties. So familiarizing myself with the tech at the time.
Okay. Okay. Would you say Rennie I would think that Rennie has a lot of in-house workshops, and there's like analysts, and there's so many different advisors, senior advisors that are available to your disposal. So would you say that you've used a lot of those?
Well, they do now, but when I started there was only, I think, around 35 realtors. So it was very small.
Okay.
And it did feel more like a boutique family brokerage. We knew everybody. I mean, the realtors were on the main floor, marketing was on the second floor, and then there was a top exec floor, but that's changed over the years too, to accommodate the growing salespeople and business that they've been able to, make for themselves.
Yeah.
So at the time, we did have weekly meetings where you would go to them and learn updated things on any type of legislation changes, anything that we needed to be aware of. But it's a lot different now because they have something like, I don't even know what the number is now. I think it might be 160 realtors.
Probably, yeah.
From 35.
Yeah.
Where they do offer these realtors, training. They have a really great stat center as well, and an analyst on site that deciphers the data. And I still receive those. They do a really good job, actually, of that. So
I attend their live webinars quite often. That's offered through UDI, actually. So that's quite informative. So I wanted to find out beyond, when at that time, obviously, then they weren't really coaching or teaching you much. What outside sources did you go to kind of improve on your skills, or just kind of be more unique, or develop more for yourself?
There were courses offered through the real estate board. It's different now. This is 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But courses at the real estate board, know your product, because I thought it was important to know what I was selling. I hadn't sold a house before, hadn't sold a condo before. So even the operating systems of a home, very important to educate yourself and know what you're selling. I did enforceable contracts, because without an enforceable contract, you really can't represent your client properly. If they want to purchase or sell something, it has to be enforceable. So there was a bunch of things too, even ethics, because there's the realtor code. All of this information was so new. So it was really, at the time, I feel as though the industry itself, it was harder. The information was still available, but it wasn't as much of a learning environment that it is now. They didn't push courses as much. They didn't offer as many types of courses for people to educate themselves so that the public could be protected, which is more of a mandate now set by the council.
Yeah.
And I like that. I think it's great. What do you think?
No, I
it's great.
Definitely agree. Like, to educate our agents a lot more and better topics. I think they've done a really good job in expanding all the topics that are required. I would probably a lot of agents will probably hate me for saying this.
Say it.
But I think we need more than 18 credits, to be quite honest. Over the course of 2 years, I feel like there's much more that we can learn.
Wow. Absolutely, and everything is changing too. So if you do a course and the legislation changes, like let's say you're selling tenanted properties, changes to the Residential Tenancy Act, that course is actually no longer relevant fully because there are things that have changed. It's impossible to stay on top of everything. I think the council's been doing as good of a job as possible to try and keep people aware of the changes. And I feel the communication, given the technology that exists today, is a bit better than it was 10 years ago.
Right. And even like starting in March, like moving everything to online webinars.
For sure.
I pretty much finished
Me too.
all 18 credits like all online.
It was great.
Yeah, it was just super simple. And I wanted to talk more about beyond the courses of the real estate board and beyond what your brokerage was offering, what other coaching did you receive?
So I didn't. I had to pay a separate. So at the time, I did end up around 6 to 8 months in for my real estate career. I had already done a few sales on my own. It was a scary time because, like I had mentioned before, I've been very open about this. There was so much to know, and I didn't feel confident. And I said to Vincent one time, I said, Vince, how did you let me sell this strata property without, I didn't even have to take the strata course first, and I had no idea. It was clear I had no idea what I was actually doing. And he laughed and he said, that's what the real estate industry is like that. But I agree that now I think it makes sense to have, even back then, higher barriers to entry and better legislation, like in terms of governing bodies for making sure that people are staying up to date. It's great to have people have that intrinsic motivation to want to learn, to want to do better instead of just having the council or the board mandate it.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of agents lack the self-development, the want to do better for themselves too.
But sorry, I didn't fully answer your question. I apologize. So at the time, there wasn't really anything local. At Keller Williams, actually. So Keller Williams is a great learning brokerage. They emphasize educating their realtors, providing support, training, those kinds of things. But at the time, when I first got licensed, I think the first Keller Williams had just opened in the Fraser Valley. That might not be 100% accurate, but they were not super well known. They had come from the States.
Right.
And so they had just entered the market. If they had entered the market and I had known about them before, I might have even gone to a Keller Williams, but that wasn't what the industry was like here at the time, so I didn't. And because I didn't have those opportunities, I guess, for like other sources of learning, I ended up joining the Mike Ferry organization based in the States, where they teach certain skills to new realtors about sales, business systems, all these kinds of things, where the real estate board actually didn't offer. They didn't offer mentoring or anything like that. And at the time, it was actually really expensive. So this is 10 years ago, and coming out of my pocket, it was around $1,000 a month to be in this coaching. But I was kind of like, I can't afford not to, because how else would I gain the knowledge quickly and efficiently? And I didn't have a team to shadow. So the other way of doing it, of course, as you know, is you're a new realtor, you join a really productive, highly functioning team locally, and you can learn from them, and they would be responsible for you. But I didn't.
That comes along with a lot of other accountabilities that you may not be ready for.
Yeah. So through that organization, there was coaching that was involved, as I mentioned, and additional things which were so invaluable, which we ended up bringing here anyways. So accountability partners, where if you don't know what an accountability partner is, everyone, it's kind of like if you have a business plan, for example, for the week, for the month, for the quarter, and you're looking to execute and achieve certain things, your accountability partner, or you could do it by mastermind group, which is a larger source of accountability. They will hold you accountable. Like, Toni, did you contact those 20 people that you said that you were going to contact on Tuesday? If yes, how many actually turned into appointments? If you didn't do it, or you didn't have the results, why didn't you get them? So it's kind of like problem solving through it all, and I found that to be extremely helpful.
Did you see, like, what percentage of business did you see raise in the volume of sales?
Like for myself personally?
Yeah, after taking that coaching program.
I actually don't know the I do know the percentages, but they're based in something different in terms of conversion. I can tell you that from a sales volume standpoint, it definitely helped me close contracts sooner. So I was more productive, and I did increase the productivity in each subsequent year. So they say like 20 to 30% is sufficient, because there's some certain jumps that you need to make anyhow. But mostly it was in the type, so the numbers, for example, so listing appointment to listing signed percentage. What we had worked on during that time was you would consider a 75 to 90% conversion really good.
Okay.
Okay.
That's high.
It's high. And while I was in the coaching, before I started the coaching, I was probably at 60%.
Okay.
Because I was new. I had no idea what I was doing. That's actually not bad if you don't know what you're doing.
Still really good.
And then when I was in the coaching, for sure, I was consistently at around like 86% conversion.
Nice.
I hope that
really
makes sense to the viewers, because for you and I, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really good results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
For me, I took a different route because at first I was really hesitant in going into real estate, and I told you because
You did.
the income wasn't as high, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I'm glad I took this job. And
Thank you.
I worked for a little bit, maybe about 3 months, and I was like, you know what? I'm getting in a good momentum here. Market's great. I'm going to get my license. So the developer at that time paid for my license.
Fantastic.
Right. So, but I committed.
was really
I didn't leave
talented.
right away. So I like committed. I worked there for about 5 years, and I decided, okay, you know what? It's time for me to move on to a different
Sure.
company to grow. So I didn't have to choose to go into a particular brokerage into resale until maybe after leaving my second company.
What year was that then? So you were licensed for how long?
I was licensed in 2003.
Okay.
And then 2007 is when I joined the second company, and then I left in 2008, 2009.
So you would have, though, so we're talking about two separate things kind of. So Jenny's talking about project marketing and pre-sales.
Right. So I'm hanging my license with a developer or project marketing company.
Yeah, just so that because some people might not know the difference if they're new to real estate. I also did pre-sale sales, but at the time Rennie would allow us to do both. So we were doing pre-sale sales, and I was talking specifically about my resale business, which I started right away.
Right, which for me, I was not allowed to do
right.
outside sales.
And you would have, though, learned on sites a little bit about how to sell in contracts, so that would have been invaluable to you.
Yeah, I learned great. I'm so grateful the way I started because I learned about structure, and I learned about developing really, really good habits.
Of course.
And the legal system.
Yeah.
Reading disclosure statements that were 100 pages long, and contracts of purchase and sales that were 20 pages long, 30 pages long, versus the ones that are in web forms, which is 7 pages long.
It's actually a very different world, pre-sale and resale.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I felt like, my path was very fitting for me. And during that duration of time, I wanted to talk about courses because I feel like there's so many things that I took up, or interests that I took up, that helped me develop into the person that I am today.
So which ones can you think of right now that stand out as the most significant, or that were the most impactful in your career?
The most impactful, I would probably say, with BCIT, I finished the Building Construction Technology course.
Oh, that's so cool.
And that is long hours at nighttime, drafting floor plans and buildings by pencil.
Yeah, BCIT is great.
Yeah, so that was
BCIT.
that was an associate certificate program, and I learned how to estimate jobs, learned about materials and finishings. I learned about there was like interior design component to it. There was a component of how to estimate jobs, and what else is there? Drawing and learning how to read plans, and that's where I come in today into meetings to help develop the floor plans that go into the buildings. That I help select materials and finishings, and I go into interior design meetings. So that's where I found probably my most favorite time is when I was learning those type of courses at BCIT.
Honestly, I really love BCIT as well. I did the business program there.
Yeah. That was before the license?
Before I got licensed, yeah.
Okay.
So SFU for psych degree, BCIT because I knew I needed the business. Yours was actually more efficient, but I didn't take that route. And then I knew I was gonna, right after the business program, I was going to be going to Africa, and then I was gonna get licensed for real estate. So there was a plan, but I needed the business component with the accounting and everything before that, I felt.
Okay.
And, at the time it was different though. It was the business faculty program.
Okay, so in the meantime, night courses and community courses, I took like feng shui. I took
such a good one.
first aid, because I knew that developer would cover all that because it would help me in my sales language in my sales discussions.
Was the Feng Shui one at BCIT too, or was that somewhere else?
I think Vancouver Community College or something like that. Like it was like a 5-week course, and you would learn different Feng Shui flows and qis and colors and placement of vases, just little things like that.
That's cool.
And maybe it's not 5 courses, maybe 3 courses. I also took Mandarin classes, so I actually did speak Mandarin at one point. It's totally gone now, but that helped me when I was working in Richmond. What else did I do? And you know what, even just to this day, like I love visiting conferences like the interior design show that happens once a year typically, the Buildex show, so learning about construction and materials.
Yeah, those change all the time.
Totally. And now what's great about it is that if you do attend those type of conferences, those credits are put towards your licensing.
Yeah, so they never allowed that before, but I think it's really great incentive for new realtors or even existing ones that are not familiar with the current trends, where you can go there, have it benefit the fact that you can put it towards your license and be knowledgeable about what's out there currently. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. So at one point I did sign up for RE/MAX Central.
I think you might have told me that way back in the day.
So that was 2010 maybe. Okay, and
that was when we met. We met around right after that.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, right after that.
So at that time, they were offering the Brian Buffini program as part of your sign up. So didn't have to pay extra. There was, I think, like 7-8 weeks of one time a week meeting up with the same group of people, learning about referral, the referral program. So the Referral Engine, by the way, is a really, really good book. And that was, that was really, really good. We went to Kelowna for a weekend to kind of wrap up all the newbies that just joined RE/MAX. And that's how I learned about follow-up phone calls.
Really?
Yeah, so because Brian Buffini is all about referrals and then just like working your A list and your B list and your sphere of influence. So just touching base with the people that are most connected to you, and that would close a lot sooner.
Well, so do you feel like, what about now then? So I know that we're basically trying to help people that are new licensees or thinking about getting their real estate license. It's kind of like at least having a little map for them to where they could look, where they could get additional resources. Do you find that now you take more leadership courses because you're the head of a team?
Absolutely.
So it's a little bit different now maybe than for you in terms of where you're dedicating most of your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of my, 2.5 years ago, I signed up with Transformation Catalyst. She's a coach, local coach in Vancouver, and my discussions with her were primarily about leadership and about my purpose and my mission and what I want for the team, and where I can make a bigger impact on an overall basis rather than just like me. So I would probably say I don't know of any. I feel like a lot of the coaches that are out there are more about accountability and talking about like how to follow up and daily habits. But she was great. It was very free flowing. It was talking about bringing joy to work. It was talking about purpose and your principles, and just instilling like core values into the workplace.
So it's like a foundation, right? And having the right foundation,
like the right pillars.
Exactly, so that you can build on it properly.
Yeah.
What else do you have that you had wanted to say, I guess, about the right programs or?
Yeah, I feel like one thing we should touch base on and make some recommendations is about memberships and subscriptions. So maybe like some online feed that you should be signing up on, or even memberships that you should be involved in. Or do you belong to any?
You know what? Not really, no.
Okay.
Not really, no.
Is this timing or?
Ones that I'm interested in, yeah, but
for me, I love being involved in like the city, like with Burnaby Board of Trades, so being a member of that and just attending certain meetings. I'm actually part of the Women Committee, so we have meetings once a month to talk about changes that we can make to the education system, to just the community itself, and to women who need help, daycare situations. Being a member of the Urban Development Institute has been a really good way to build your network.
I contacted them before.
Yeah, yeah.
The person never emailed back.
Okay, because you can't, if you're like just an individual, like you don't have to be a developer to sign up.
I know, but...
Well, they are really good in terms of just offering a lot of webinars and networking events to meet land developers, surveyors, architects, just anybody that's in that urban planning.
No, I've heard
world.
that it's great. To be honest, I'm not a member of a lot of these groups because I have a young family.
Yeah, it's
to be honest,
too.
I am parts of some groups, but if it requires me to network in the evenings, honestly, I'm normally with my kids.
Yeah.
So, and I like to spend time with them. So when I'm working, I'm working. I'm a part of the BIA on their exec team for East Village in Vancouver. And we deal with a lot of small businesses and support them, but most of that stuff takes place within regular business hours. And you know how it is being a realtor too. I am working some nights as well. So
yeah,
any time that I can get with my family, I have to take that.
Yeah, yeah. But BIA?
Yes, Business Improvement Association.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever been a part of BNI?
I've heard about it.
Yeah.
And actually, a member of the BIA had told me, he's like, you should go be a part of BNI. And actually, I did look into it. It sounds really exciting.
Yeah. Well, I was a representative for some company that before I got into real estate.
Yes.
They're quite intense because you're required to give referrals.
Yeah, and not only that, there's a fee involved.
Yes, there's a fee involved.
But it sounded, it is something that I'd actually like to do. It's just that obviously, I think my time for the end of the year, given all of the goals business-wise that I will achieve and balancing family, I wouldn't be able to look at that until next year.
Yeah, there are some memberships and subscriptions where you don't have to attend in person. Maybe you can receive emails in your inbox, whether it be daily affirmations or whether it be like Inman reports or something like that.
Like Darren Daly, he does a lot of great, but he's more so just like business in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would recommend that one?
It's actually really good. I do subscribe to Kate Northrup, but she's more so, have you ever heard of her?
No.
So different. It's not someone probably that I would have subscribed to in the past, but she talks a lot about running successful 7-figure plus business.
Okay.
And also balancing family time, which is something obviously that I've admitted this on the podcast, I struggle with it still.
Yeah.
And so I follow her, but she has a lot of great information and tactics that people can use to kind of, put boundaries into place, be successful in both spheres.
Excellent.
So yeah, she's really good.
We're going to put all these notes down for you guys. So or you could just be taking notes right now.
But I interrupted you. What other memberships do you love to be a part of it? Because I know you're really active with networking.
I used to be, we used to be part of the luxury real estate marketing
one.
Yeah, but I didn't really find much use for that membership. And I believe you have to pay an annual fee for it.
Yeah, I don't think he's a member anymore. He might have been before.
Yeah, I did like one course on it, and then we were certified for that day. Whether or not it's actually recognized in Canada, not sure. But I don't know. I also receive emails from Urban Land Institute, which is really big on the East Coast.
Emails.
Tall Buildings Association, something like that.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, they talk about a lot of urban planning in like other countries. What else would I recommend? I just like random coaching ones, like Jeff Shore, Brian Buffini, Tom Ferry. Tom Ferry, yeah. So those are free subscriptions that you can just sign up for, and I for sure recommend that if you're just starting the business, and even if you're years into the business, it's always good to brush up on your skills. Yeah,
no, I do actually have those ones going into my inbox all the time, but I only read them. I'll have to set them aside. I read them either once a week, or if I'm really busy that week, they don't get read until every second week when I can just actually read through them. But I do archive them, and they've got a lot of great information.
Totally, yeah. And I love watching short videos that are about 2 minutes long. I pass it on to my team all the time. Not on TikTok, but by the way, I do have a TikTok. Chai has a TikTok account.
Oh no!
One of them has 3 million followers or likes.
Really?
Yeah, or views or something.
That's
and it's
crazy.
Insane. I have to take her off because somebody may steal her. She's famous now.
What other things do you have on your list there that you think might benefit?
I would probably say when you find your MO in terms of the right coach that works for you, stick to it because they're going to keep you accountable throughout your whole, mastery of your success.
Yeah, and I think you said something earlier which was important. The right coach might be dependent on where you are in your life at the moment. You could be dealing with certain things, like if you're a new realtor, it might be like when I had first started, sales and business, or product knowledge. But if you're building a team, or you're expanding, or you're opening a brokerage, it's going to be leadership and possibly things associated with that type of like other things. So it kind of depends on the stage that you're at, I think, as well.
And I even just remembered that I signed up for speaking on stage, like a coach for that as well, so I can speak well.
I did one too.
Yeah.
So good. I'm going to give him a shout out right now.
Sure.
Yeah, he's so good. Lucas Mattiello, Speaking with Confidence.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
Speaking
Is he local?
He is totally local.
Okay.
I did his public speaking course. It was a 3-day seminar. Warren did it as well, but the reason why I liked it is because it was so different than the other public speaking courses that I had either been a part of or looked at. He really teaches people how to tap into their authenticity while giving presentations, and I like that because it means that it's real. It means that they're tapping into something deeper. And to be honest, if I was a member of the audience, I don't want to hear some BS story. Like, I want it to be real. Tell me something real.
And storytelling. Yeah, that's what they're saying nowadays. Like, all these coaches are basically saying, tell your real story, because they want to know who you really are.
And don't be worried about how it looks to people. You can't make people happy all of the time.
Are you talking to me?
No, it's my mom stuff talking. Like, I had to say that to my son the other day. I was like, Antonio, you can't make everybody happy, do you? He's like, what does that mean, Mom? I'm like, well, it just means, and then it was a whole different discussion. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's,
you want to leave it there?
I wanted to, just to let everybody know that there are so much options out there, and just don't stick to just the PDP courses and what the license offers. There's so much more room to grow for yourself, and whatever you feel passionate about, follow that.
I think so.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. We hope that you got some good advice out of this, and if you have any questions or any comments or feedback, please DM us. Reach out to westcoastrealestateagents@gmail.com. You can email us, screenshot, and tag us at In the House Podcast in our IG.
Yeah.
Where else are we at? YouTube. We're at Spotify. We're on IGTV. We're on Apple. And thanks for listening, guys.
Thank
Talk to you guys
you.
soon.